Hello everybody and welcome back to Just JP. Hope that you're having a lovely day. Thank you so much for joining me here, for clicking on the video, for showing up today. We're going to be listening to Porcupine Tree. We're going to listen to their song Russia on Ice. Oh, and by the way, Merry Christmas. This is of course off of their album Lightbulb Sun, which was released in 2000. So Porcupine Tree, a band that I haven't explored as much as I probably should. I'm familiar with their album In Fear of a Blank Planet. I listened to that many years ago. Great album, especially the epic and SSIs. But I haven't really listened to much else. Anyways, so I figured, you know what? This might be a good song to wake up on the morning, to take the chill off, and let's listen to some good music. I hope that you guys are having the greatest day you can have today. Thank you as always for, like I said, being here. You didn't have to, but you did choose to, and I appreciate that. So let's go ahead and listen to some good music. This is Porcupine Tree with Russia on Ice.
Deserve this. You said I was stupid. All my thoughts are like calm. Stop myself drinking. Can't stop being I call, will you come and will you save me?
I see the whole thing come down. I burn it to the ground. Well, what the hell did you say? You said you hate me this way. It's just a matter of time.
A drop in the ocean, a significant motion. Nothing melts in this cold.
To the ground.
all of the sounds that were going on at the end sounded like, just really quick, sounded like close to the edge, but the upside down version of the beginning. The birds and the peaceful sounds and the creek and everything, that sounded like the upside down, the darker version of that. Okay, what a song. What a massive track this was. Really quickly, I just need to highlight one member before we talk about the song, because this was really, really good. Really fun to listen to. And there were a lot of surprising moments in here. Barbieri, okay? Barbieri on the keys, synths, and all of that stuff. He brings in an absolute wealth of atmosphere and a bank of subtlety to the track, especially in the beginning. Yes, that's kind of obvious with the way that the mood kind of swells and begins itself and makes its own form. But even in the ending, even in the parts where the music becomes heavy, because even as those heavy elements appear, that light affair is never lost due to Barbieri's contribution here. And a lot of the work that he's doing here reminds me of his album on Stone to Flesh. Like if you listen to a track, for example, like Mother London, there's a certain way that he builds ambience there. Of course, you have his past time with Japan, working with David Sylvian and so on, and he brings that bank of knowledge and he deposits it here in Russia on Ice. And just the way that he does that is so awesome, because it really makes this sound so unique. As soon as it started, I was like, oh, that's Barbieri doing his thing, and you can feel that, you know? Then, the song. There's a little bit of a heavy riff that comes in during the verse, and I really like the way that that sets it up, because of the cadence and the rhythm and the tempo of the music at that point. It is a heavy outbreak, but once again, it doesn't take away from the light of the music at this specific point. We're not talking about the back half. We'll talk about that in a second, because I got something to say. But at that point, yes, you got a heavy riff that only occurs like every, I don't know, at the end of every beat or whatever. But even though it's heavy, it's the emptiness and the space left between that is still filled with light. And the way that it's played actually reminds me a lot of doom metal. But take away like the heavier like elements of that and just fill it with a little bit more ambience. As a matter of fact, I think it'd be really cool if Steven Wilson teamed up with Chelsea Wolfe. Oh, can you imagine the combination of them? That'd be really cool. Some of the, I don't know why, but some of the riffing even reminded me a little bit of Paul Bearer. I don't know. That was just a random thought as I was listening to it. But let me just pull it back to the to this here really quick. See, there's a heavy, dark drift to the music, but it's filled with a mysterious light, courtesy of Steven Wilson's voice. That's the riff. Because that riff does come up and reoccur, of course, several times, and when it first comes up, it's very heavy. And you would expect perhaps the music to get a lot heavier at that moment, but not just yet. We're not tipping the scales just yet. But what a cool entrance that is for the night to follow. But then, well, first of all, we get a little bass solo, a bass lead, which was very nice, very tasty, but it's what it all led into. We go into like a 90s alternative rock kind of heavy riff that I haven't heard since my Linkin Park, Deftones, and whatever days. We get into like one of those kind of riffs, right? I like it. But, did you hear the bass hits? Those deep bass hits are like so 90s, early 2000s nu metal, specifically Korn, because in their music they use that a lot. Like in, did they use that in Twisted Transistor? I don't think so. But Freak on a Leash. Like that specific type of sound, I just thought that was really cool to hear them do that. I was like, that was really surprising. So already you got a lot of different influences here on the track. Of course, they take those influences and they make it their own. And how do you feel about Steven Wilson's voice? Because he has a very specific tone when he sings. I mean, he doesn't really sing too differently between projects and such. He has a very numbing kind of voice. It's very kind of one-toned, for lack of a better word, but I do feel like it carries the message across. To be quite honest, oh, that's where that riff comes in. That's heavy. That's the slow drift of doom metal. But his voice kind of reminds me of like a death metal vocalist, like a growler. And I mean it in this sense. His voice carries a certain kind of mood. It enhances the mood here. It's not necessarily meant to be the focus. It's not really meant to be one of the talking points. but it is there to carry the words, to carry the message, and to convey the themes to us from a narrative point of view. The same way that growling and metal vocals like that may not be understandable to, a lot of times they may not be understandable, but they are there to carry along the weight and the heaviness of the music, almost acting as another percussive force to the heaviness and the weight of it all. I kind of view it like that. It's more about adding to the atmosphere rather than being a focus, because here, I think that the composition of the music is the focus. I think the way that it moves from section to section, the transitions, the movements, that is kind of the focus. It's the whole orchestration of it all and the direction. And I think the direction is heading in a great place. Let me just come back here to the beginning. I do want to talk about this ambience that's built up here. This is so Barbieri. This is such a great way to establish mood and to build it up. The little ringing of the keys, lots of echo. And then even as you move forward just a bit, as that riff comes in, and as things slightly turn, it never changes. There's a very specific type or kind of magic here. I like how the bass carries that riff in the beginning, shimmering guitars along the sides of the creek, and then eventually drums will come in, and by eventually I mean now, and then just carry the whole movement, the whole stream along. I think that specific piece right here in the beginning, I think that's a great movement. It doesn't drag along in its building up. It gets to the point relatively quick, and the song has a lot to say. Let me pull up a little bit further as well. Great guitar. Effective, emotive, evocative, and very satisfying drumming. I like how in this kind of powerful but slower momentum that we have here, how the drumming relatively stays at a slower kind of pace, where the fills are actually kind of the star of the drum work. But then later, oh man, later we get down. Now I noticed that it's not Gavin Harrison actually here. It's Chris Maitland on the drums here. Woo! Did you hear him in the back half here? There's a section of the drumming I want to point out. I'm going to get to it in a little bit, but that was brilliant. There's a certain kind of way that he changes the groove of it all. I really liked that. But before we get to that, we got to get through a few other things here. You also have a buildup of strings, and I see that there's a violin section here. And how great is that? This really lifts up the music. Listen to this chorus, guys. Listen to this chorus, guys. I may be crazy. There's a reason I grabbed The Lamb. I didn't grab it because of the album. I grabbed it because I wanted to point out Genesis. Does the chorus remind you of Genesis? Can you hear? I personally could hear Phil singing that. This is like a mid-career Genesis song to me, or at least the choruses. I don't know, just the way that it's sung, the melody that comes up from it. Let me just back it up again, and this time, just think Genesis a little bit.
Well, what the hell did you say?
It has that big,
You said you
beautiful sound.
this way.
I can hear Phil singing that.
Just a matter of time.
And I think there's a certain tone that reminds me of that a little bit too. And the way they even bring it back down here, that's good. That's good. But let's talk about some bass. Who's on the bass? This is going to be Colin Edwin on the bass. And see how Barbieri maintains the mood. That's a mainstay. Let me turn it down. Good. I like how that comes in. I don't know what Steven's doing on the guitar there. There was some sort of scratchy electronic sound that he comes up with there. But I thought that was a really unique way to kind of come in, especially into this riff. It's kind of industrial metal when I kind of listen to it now. Because it does have a little machine kind of movement, even with the simple rhythm of the drum there, just a little cymbal. But from here, you know something's coming. Like, you can feel this, right? Now, it drops into something, and I wasn't quite expecting this. Is this bass? It sounds like bass, but it's like different. And you have the ghostly sounds echoing forth. That sounds like a bass with a kind of effect on it or something. I'm not quite sure about that. But I thought that was kind of nice to kind of continue on the theme of the bass being played before, because you get bass solo, really heavy riff, where the bass solo kind of gets into, but the guitar kind of overpowers it. And then out of that, you get back into this, where the bass kind of comes back. I just think that's a nice way of maintaining a certain kind of continuity even throughout the different dynamics of the track. But that's Korn, guys. You can hear Jonathan Davis doing something here. Was that really my Jonathan Davis impression? That was my Jonathan Davis impression, and I apologize. Okay, but out of this, listen to this, guys. Listen to how just like unrelentingly this comes in. That's a jump scare. You hear Maitland? Oh my god. Listen to this little switch up on the beat. He took the snare and just moved it over a little bit. I watched an interview with Stuart Copeland, of course, drummer for the Police, right? And when he was talking about his technique and how he came up with his patterns, which are of course so monumental and so iconic, he talks about how he took the snare and just moved it over a little bit. That's what you get a little bit right here. Let me back it up one more time just really quick. Listen to the drumming. He fills it with a kick. That is so cool. It's a small detail, but for just a brief moment, it changes everything. And from there, we just end, like I said, with the upside down version of Close to the Edge. At least that's what I think it is. That's great. That's really awesome. Let's talk about the lyrics on this one, which I think is just about alcoholism, actually, and how that's ruining his relationships with others. You think I deserve this. You said I was stupid. All my thoughts are like coal, but Russia on ice is burning a hole. I can't stop myself drinking. There you go. Can't stop being me. If I call, will you come? And will you save me? So he can't stop being himself. He can't stop the vices that he has. Obviously, like I said, and like we read, the alcohol is ruining his relationships with others. And he even gets to the desperate point of, if I call you, will you come and save me? Now, we don't know. Is this the first time he's asking, if I call, will you save me? Or has he been saved before? Have others come to help him before? And, he's fallen back to it, and perhaps to a degree that it's harmful not only to himself, but to people around him. I see the whole thing come down. I burn it to the ground. Well, what the hell did you say? You said you hate me this way. It's just a matter of time. So yeah, he's definitely having a conversation. But instead of getting the whole conversation, A and B, we're just hearing the responses. We're just hearing A. A drop in the ocean, a significant motion. Nothing melts in this cold, but Russia on ice is burning a hole. I see the whole thing come down. I burn it to the ground. Well, what the hell did you just say? You said you hate me this way. It's just a matter of time. Well, I like the line where he says, nothing melts in this cold, but Russia on ice is burning a hole. Like, that's the thing that warms him, but at the same time, like I said, it's harmful to him because he says it's burning a hole. It's hurting him, and of course, others around. And then he says, it's just a matter of time. I guess he's going to leave, or I think he's just kind of at the end of his rope. Like, he's done. Maybe? I don't know. You said you hate me this way. It's just a matter of time. Knowing Steven Wilson, he's probably going to, like, kill her or something, or kill this other person or something. There's some twist in there or something like that. All right, so Colin Edwin, who's playing the bass, because I like to look at what everyone's actually playing in the band. He's playing the bass. He does the drum machine programming, I would imagine, for that Korn moment. And then he's playing an instrument called the Gwimbri, which I've absolutely never heard of, okay? Now, I'm reading on Wikipedia, and it's also called a sintir. It's a 3-stringed skin-covered bass plucked lute. The neck is a simple stick with 1 short and 2 long goat strings that produce a percussive sound similar to a pizzicato cello or double bass. I would almost bet my money on it, and I don't have a lot of it, but I would almost bet my money that that's what's being played at that kind of warped bass solo after the heavy riff comes in. That has to be what it is, because you can hear it kind of slapping against, like, maybe the body of the instrument. That has to be what that is. That is so cool. That is really cool. Like, that is such a random, in a sense, instrument to bring in and to have. But at the same time, it works so well in the music. You know? That's awesome. Anyways, let me know what you guys thought of the track. You can let me know in the comments down below. You can follow me in a bunch of places. You can do this. You can do that. You can support the channel on Patreon if you'd like. It definitely helps out. But I do hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope that you enjoyed your time here. I hope that you come back tomorrow. Hope you're having a great Christmas. This is my present to you. I don't have a lot, but this is my present to you. So I hope that you enjoyed it. Come back tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day, your afternoon, or your evening. Bye, guys.